gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's May 16th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, LifeWallet, the time is now, and we've got big news this morning. I think it's big news. I really do. There's a walk-on running back by the name of Michael Perino, and he is the first walk-on to get an NIL deal. LifeWallet is stepping up. They're giving him a $10,000 annual NIL deal to promote LifeWallet as a walk-on, and very similar to where John Ruiz did a NIL deal with Clay James, the long snapper. He likes to do these one-offs with unique players because it does get attention, and he also likes underdogs, he says, and he loves promoting the guys that aren't the stars. So today we have the story of Michael Perino getting an NIL deal from LifeWallet, and Matt, your thoughts on I love it. Me personally, I like to see the wealth being shared. I love seeing guys at the bottom end of the roster getting to participate in NIL. I think it makes for a happy locker room. I think by September, if all things are in place, between what John Ruiz is doing with LifeWallet, with what Dan Lambert will do with his NIL effort, everybody in the Miami locker room will have some type of NIL deal. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's not the first individual NIL deal nationally, but it's one of the first. There have been some other schools already where they've done mass NIL deals for every player on the roster, including walk-ons, which is great. Which I don't know how much money Mr. Ruiz wants to throw around, but it's like this kid hasn't even gotten on the team yet.
He's allocated $10 million.
Right. So if you'll let me finish. So I'd like him to give every walk-on $10,000 because this is a kid who
didn't know how much money he was putting up.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Okay, so he does whatever logarithms he does. So basically what happens is there are walk-ons who have been on the team last year who will be back on the team this year. This particular kid hasn't even been on the team yet. He's didn't even do spring ball. He made the team for the fall as a walk-on. But the reason he gets the deal is he apparently, when he was in, I talked to him. So when he was in high school, he started this whole journey. He's, calls himself the Italian stallion. He works out. He built himself up from a nobody to be, like a decent player in high school, and people followed his journey. And he's got, I think 10,000 plus combined followers. Like 15,000 almost combined followers, which is what John Ruiz was talking about when he wants to do these things where he does these formulations. What are you worth as an NIL deal? And if somebody has over 10,000 followers already at this stage, with the upside of, hey, they're going to, maybe have a bigger story down the road. I mean, this improbable 5'9" running back who the high school coaches laughed at when he wanted to get in a game, and he wound up being, pretty good his senior year in only 4 games, and then wound up playing at a little junior college, and now he's here. So it's a neat little story, and I can see why John Ruiz would think, hey, he'll tweet out to his 15,000 followers and Instagram people, this LifeWallet message, and maybe he'll be even bigger down the road. So now the question becomes, what about the walk-ons who don't fit up to the metrics? What about a walk-on like, I don't even know who, I don't want to say like somebody I know, but you all out there know people who probably have 18, 19-year-old children who maybe don't have 10,000 followers, 15,000 followers, right? What if they wanted to walk on and were sort of a nobody, quote unquote, nobody on a team like Miami? They should probably get a deal too. It's not fair in a sense. That they're putting the same work and having the same exact outcome, which is they'll never play in a game. But they just don't have as many followers because they didn't, I guess, promote themselves this way. So what I'm saying is it would be nice for everybody to get a deal. So Mr. Ruiz, if you're out there watching, give it to all the walk-ons. Why not, man? $10,000 each for a year. That's a drop in the bucket compared to what he's already put out there. I think that'd be really a great message for all the walk-ons on the team that make the team.
Well, I mean, this kid he's a cool story.
Great story.
He Great really kid. Is.
Great kid.
He's big as hell. I mean, the Italian stallion I mean, is probably an applicable nickname for him. I mean,
You know what's funny? He would have done this for free. Like he's really, when he says he's not about the money, like the $10,000. Like I didn't ask him the conversation, but I imagine the conversation was John Ruiz starts the negotiations with, "Hey, we'll do 10,000 for a year," and the negotiation wound up with, "Great, I'll take it." I don't think there was a lot of negotiation back and forth. Like this kid's not doing it for the money. He's just happy to sort of just have something to promote.
I mean, there he is. I mean, he clearly has spent some time in the weight room.
That's a picture of me in college, Gary. I don't know where you found that.
But I mean, look, he looks like a football player. He looks the part. I don't know if he can run at all or whatever, but they'll use him as a walk-on running back. He'll have his NIL deal, and it's a happy story. And I just think it's great when you have guys all across the locker room getting to participate in NIL. All right, so a couple other things that we need to talk about here. Quarterback Emory Williams completed a 2-day visit yesterday to Miami, and he's the guy that they got on. They've been recruiting Moore and Rashada, who are two of the top quarterbacks in the country, but everybody's recruiting those guys, and they're not easy gets. They're looking for big NIL deals. They're looking for playing time opportunities, and Miami can't promise them probably. I mean, I think they'll compete. I think John Ruiz will compete in NIL. I don't think NIL is the issue, but I do sense that Mario Cristobal is very hesitant, Matt, to create this great disparity where you have this freshman kid walking in the door, getting this massive NIL deal, hasn't done a darn thing. And you've got all these guys in the locker room, including Tyler Van Dyke, who's a preseason Heisman candidate, considered one of the top quarterbacks in the country. And, why would you be crazy about bringing a freshman in who's going to be getting 5 times more money than Tyler Van Dyke or something like that? I mean, at least I mean, we haven't discussed this obviously with Mario, but it looks like he's kind of hesitant to do those kinds of things.
Well, first of all, you're totally off base because by the letter of the law, Mario Cristobal can have zero say in any NIL deal. He's not even really supposed to. I mean, he can know about it, but he's not supposed to have. He can't say we're not taking you because you got too big an NIL deal. He can't say we want you to get a big NIL deal. He's totally out of the picture, which is unfair to the coaches, which is why I keep saying this NCAA system is ridiculous, needs to be revamped. Obviously, the kids need the money they should get, but the schools need to have some sort of, aid they can give to the student athletes. To totally shut the programs out of a system that is built now on agents getting in bed, so to speak, with student athletes to help them get ginormous deals wherever they sell them to, essentially, is ridiculous. This is what the NCAA decided to do, All
right, but let's have real talk for a second, Matt. Real talk, okay? The head coaches are dictating policy.
Then that's an NCAA violation. I'm not going to ever say
whether it's Mario, Nick Saban, Dabo Sweeney.
You're never going to hear me say that Miami's breaking a rule, Gary.
No, I'm not saying that they're breaking a rule. I'm saying that a general philosophy can clearly be established in the NIL world, in my opinion. This is just my opinion.
Basically what you're saying is at Miami, they don't want a quarterback who's making 5 times more money than the guy who's going to be the next starter.
I think
they're going to turn away a kid. They're going to find out legitimately third hand, oh my God, they're offering him $2 million. Forget it. We don't want you. That's ridiculous.
No, I think Mario would have the capability of sending word to John Ruiz that, listen, we don't want this great disparity in our locker room. And I'm going to show you an example. Okay, they were recruiting this transfer receiver from Central Florida, Jalen Robinson, for the last few weeks. Came, he visited, was giving every indication in the world that he was coming to Miami. And then all of a sudden, yesterday, he commits to Ole Miss. Now, clearly what happened, regardless of what anybody would say it was, Ole Miss put up a boatload of money. The number I heard was $400,000 through their NIL, that he got a $400,000 NIL deal. And it was probably bigger than what he was going to get at Miami.
And you know what?
I'm guessing his agent had conversations with Ruiz or
This is the thing that John Ruiz wants to let people know is he's not going to get in a bidding war, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but like this is why Miami sort of, I don't know, basically like we said, the face of the program is John Ruiz for better or for worse, and maybe it's for better, but he's already clearly stated publicly to us, well, to you, that he's not going to get in bidding wars and let people dictate what he's going to pay. He has an algorithm that he follows, and that's it. And like, you got more money somewhere else, go somewhere else. He's not out just to sort of win bidding wars for the Miami Hurricanes. That's not what he's about. He says, he's sort of about the system and helping the student athletes, which is great. That's what it should be about. I know a lot of Miami fans just want him to pour all the money out and get every top recruit here. I'm not sure that John Ruiz is about that as much as he actually thinks this is going to help his company. I'm not sure. If he had to balance Miami Hurricanes versus Life Wallet success, I'm not sure which one he chooses. I know Miami fans probably think he chooses the Miami Hurricanes, but he's a businessman, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with being a businessman and doing what he does to try and help his business. For him to pay more money to a student athlete because the Miami Hurricanes need him versus what he thinks that student athlete's worth to his company, I'm not sure it's fair for fans to expect him to outbid anybody or ever up a bid above what he thinks something's worth. Just like if you're buying a company, if you're one company and you're trying to buy another company, you're not going to pay more than you think it's worth. If someone else pays more than you think it's worth, you're not going to say, okay, I'll pay more anyway. Like, that's sort of what John Ruiz has said he's viewing this as, and this is what he's showing through his actions. So, like, if the money's where he thinks it should be and the student athlete is happy with that, it works out. And like with some of these other instances, it's not going to work out. And when you hear kids who are, quote unquote, looking for NIL deals and shopping around, like, there's a pretty decent chance if it's just John Ruiz and nobody else at Miami that, like, once they're shopping around, it's not a great sign for Miami. And that's okay, but that's also why maybe Miami needs some more booster type people, not business type people that these other programs have. Because let's face it, other programs have boosters, fans who have been around and been boosters for 30 years to 50 years who have $1 billion also. John Ruiz is a new face at Miami. I mean, let's face it, when NIL showed up, he's a lawyer, he got involved, and he's a new face, and he's doing great things for Miami right now. But like, he's not one of these people who's just doing it because he's loved the program for 30 to 50 years and he wants Miami to win a national championship. It's a combination of helping Miami, but also helping his company, which is fine. That's how I view it. That's just what I think the case is. Maybe you disagree.
I got to do some research on what's up with that collective. There was another collective forming. I got to do some research and see where that's at.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a key, because if you're going to outbid people, that you need somebody who doesn't care about their business so much and they care more about what other people are doing.
Show. It really does. I mean, what John Ruiz is doing is phenomenal, but it needs to be more than one guy. So we'll see.
Correct.
In the meantime, are you ever going to surprise us with a different picture back there? I mean, I haven't brought this up in a long time. I still have that abstract picture by one of our subscribers ready to go up on that wall whenever you want. I just want to tell you, I mean, you just talked for 5 minutes and I'm staring at that horse, and it's like, it's throwing me off, Matt.
Listen, it's a fantastic work of art, and it sort of depicts part of the horror of American past, It's just like, listen, here's the deal I'll make with you, Gary. That's some of the horror of the American past, how Miami dealt with the indigenous people here. And it's been a horror for the last 20 years of me covering this team for the most part. So if the Miami Hurricanes win a national championship, I will remove the horse. How's that? That's the deal I'll make with you. That's when the horse comes down.
All right, whatever.
Whatever. You told me this year they're going to win a national championship. You promised me. So it'll be done by the end of the year, Gary.
We got to get something there. But anyway, all right.
By the beginning of
I was just thinking about it because I was staring at it for 5 minutes. All right. We got a ton of recruiting to talk about today. Many, many stories on the website. But first, let's take a moment and hear from our friends at Life Wallet.
Not in my Life Wallet. We protect all of our information.
Take control of your health with Life Wallet.
All right, so a ton of recruiting going on for the past several days, and we've done stories on a lot of it. It's actually impossible to do stories on every single kid that's passing through, but I wanted to go through some of these stories, Matt, right now, so we could touch on them on some of them at least a little bit, and just give people an idea of just the intensity and the degree of recruiting that's taking place on campus today. Miami, we have a story on Ocala Trinity offensive lineman Tommy Kinsler. He's put Miami in his top 5. He's starting to set official visits. So you can get an update on him on the site today. A 2024 offensive tackle, Cademan Crater, has landed a Miami offer. He's from Vancouver, Washington. Mario Cristobal, Alex Mirabal were recruiting him out west. They gave him an offer to Miami. He says he will visit. And, man, I'll stop right there. We are continuing to see that it doesn't matter where in the United States these kids are. Miami will go out after them. Stephen Field has been on the road for the last couple weeks all across the far west of the country, California, Oregon. I think he's Washington. I know he's been to Minnesota. He's been to a lot of these states out there in the upper Midwest and the West, giving Miami a recruiting presence. And Matt, you and I have discussed this many times in the past. I absolutely love it. It doesn't mean that they're not recruiting South Florida heavily. They are. Coaches spent a lot of time this weekend up in Palm Beach. They had jamborees up there. They were looking at kids in Palm Beach. Obviously kids in Dade and Broward. So they're all over the place, and they're recruiting South Florida hard. But that's not keeping them from reaching out for top level kids that they identify in all areas of the country.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because in the old days, and by old days I mean 1 or 2 years ago, this type of recruiting would net major dividends. The whole NIL situation on a national scale is a little concerning, and Miami's casting a wide net, which is great, but they have a lot of homework to do, not now just in terms of who's likely to come based on the merits, which is we have a need for you, we have a great relationship with you, here's your future here, your family loves us. But it's now on the eve of next signing day, somebody comes in with $1 million offer, and John Ruiz maybe has his number already set, and that's that, and you lost the kid. It's ridiculous because these coaches put in so much work, and it's if they get the rug pulled out under them because of NIL. I know Miami fans think right now NIL is the greatest thing for Miami, but it works both ways, man. And they may need to be prepared to oversign almost by double, preparing to lose kids. They may not take a huge class this year, but there can be cases where the eve of signing day, somebody's going to promise something through a third party to some other school, and you just lost your top recruit. That's going to happen. That's just something we haven't seen yet because this is all brand new. But Miami's doing it all the right way. And so, yeah, you mentioned the out-of-state kids. I mean, there's a bunch of them already set. June officials are going to be more to come. But, I mean, you got on June 5th already we have Alausa Lennon scheduled, Tamir Robinson the next weekend. David Hicks just set up that visit. Tony Rojas is coming. The commit Antonio Tripp's coming. Jackson Carver. The next weekend, Logan Howland, Darren Reed, Riley Williams. The next weekend so far, Madden Sanker. I mean, these are all out-of-state kids. And they're going to have a huge visit list, I'm sure, for the weekend of what used to be called, we'll just call it Legends Camp. Fans know it by a different name, but we'll call it Legends Camp. And, I think from what I see, their strategy is out of state in June. And then the local kids can come whenever, man, and you can bring them in for officials during the season. The goal ultimately is to get the kids on the fence in for the last visit before they announce. And a lot of the local kids are waiting until that early signing day to announce. That's just a Florida thing, a South Florida thing. You wait for your big moment. You let everyone woo you forever. So I have a feeling all these South Florida kids Miami's after, they're going to be coming on December visits. That's probably Miami's goal. Bring them in the weekend before signing day. A huge amount of South Florida kids all together. The message is we're going to stay home. We're going to win a national championship together. You're going to make your family proud. They'll be coming to the national championship parade down Brickell or wherever they're going to hold it, And that's brilliant, right? Because you need that local group to come together on a visit, and you don't need them to come in June. You need them to come right before signing day. You need to sell them hard, hopefully after a great season. Look what we've done. Look what we're doing. Here's our plan for you. Here's, obviously they're not going to talk about NIL deals, but they'll know by then. Here's the NIL deal they're going to have. And you can land a double-digit South Florida recruiting group that maybe seemed on the fence before then. There's going to be some really interesting maneuvering with NIL and maybe having a great season. And the strategy is brilliant. Out-of-state kids in June, local kids later on. Maybe the out-of-state kids will come for an unofficial during the season if they show that they're interested after the officials in June. Because those kids have to pay their own way. That's the problem with the system right now. There's a free transfer, but not 2 free official visits. So it'd be really nice if you let a kid come officially in June and let the school pay for it and come back again during the season. I wish the NCAA
They might change those rules eventually too.
Like, what's the NCAA scared of? Why can't a kid have a visit paid for twice by a school? It's equal playing field for everybody.
They're starting to realize that all their rules are archaic. Like,
it's not fair. And listen,
they're talking about dropping the scholarship limit rule to where you don't have to worry about 85 scholarships. They're also talking about
20. That's 25, Gary. The 85 is still in place, unfortunately.
No, but I think they're talking about dropping it.
Well, believe that when it happens.
And they're also talking about eliminating limitations on the number of coaches you can have, so that schools don't have to bury all these guys as analysts. They can just make them coaches.
Right.
So that'll be interesting. But there's no question NIL is dictating recruiting, and that's not changing anytime soon. All right, you mentioned Deron Reed. He's from Columbus, Georgia, defensive lineman. He's hearing from Hurricane coaches every single day. We've got a story about that on the website this morning. There's a 5-star 2024 quarterback, Jaden Davis. Everybody's recruiting him, including Miami. He is saying that he will visit here in June. So that's, big news. We've got a story on that on the website. We've got a story on the 2025, believe it or not, Texas running back by the name of DeAndre Ryden. He's now received an offer. What does he think about it? We bring you that story this morning. We've got an update on running back Cedric Baxter. As you know, he is Miami's priority right now at the running back position. He has set his visits that will include Miami. Also, a 4-star running back from Houston by the name of Parker Jenkins. We've got an update on him. We've got an update on a tight end from Cincinnati by the name of Jackson McGohan. He's been offered, is pondering.
Well, he's not from Cincinnati. He's from Ohio, but he's Cincinnati commitment. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he's from Ohio. He is a University of Cincinnati commitment. Matt is correct on that. And but he is pondering visiting Miami. We've got a story on that on the website this morning. So put it all together, and it's like I said earlier, Matt, just a ton of recruiting going on, far-reaching, a lot of it outside of South Florida. It's what I've been calling for years, a good balance of local kids and out-of-town kids. They're trying to achieve it. I think we'll start seeing some commitments in June. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they'll start to come in, but Miami's in no rush to get commitments. Like the story, with Emory Williams that we put up yesterday afternoon after his visit ended. They got on campus. I guess Saturday at 3 p.m. They had 8:30 dinner plans. They didn't even make it because they were having such a good time at Miami. They just, they wound up staying basically into the night. They were back Sunday, yesterday morning. They were back. Spent the better part of the day out there again, and everything went great. And the one thing I've never heard before, because we talked to the dad, and the one thing I never heard before that they were very impressed with, and this is the quote, how the coaching staff related to the support staff was very impressive, from graduate assistants all the way down. They were very courteous. And, he gave me some examples, just I didn't put in the story, but, it would be like a head coach just talking to a GA who's like the lowest of the low. You just, go get me my coffee is usually what you tell a GA. But they were like, the GAs breaking down film, and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And whatever it is, they're treating GAs like their peers, which I guess they should in a real world. Gary, it'd be nice if you treated me as a peer, it would be nice. I feel like I've been an intern my whole career at CaneSport now, but it is what it is.
If you treated me like a boss, I would treat you like a peer.
But the point is, that shows character. When you treat somebody who is just trying to work their way up the ladder and is really at the starting off point, you could use the term hazing, whatever it is, but that's like how some people treat some of these people, and that's not how they do it at Miami. Yeah, and the family was very impressed by that. Now, do I think at the end of the day, Emory Williams comes to Miami? Well, talking to dad, it sounds like there's a bunch of more offers they're waiting on. They think there's going to be some SEC offers, some other offers that, he didn't really want to get into specifics on it, but it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. He's starting to get a lot of national interest, doesn't have a lot of offers, was sort of under the radar. The dad was saying how he never went to camps. And that was a reason why he's just emerging now. I think he's going to get a lot of big-time offers, and I think Miami's going to have to just sort of keep looking, and I think they're going to be evaluating some more quarterbacks coming up here. And it's a tough situation for Miami because if you're a quarterback looking at Miami right now, you mentioned the NIL thing. Well, that's one aspect, I guess, but if this is a regular quarterback coming in, you look, they got Ja'Cory Brown, who really looks like he's going to be great. And these recruits aren't dumb. Like, they know what's everywhere. They read reports just like everyone else for a school they're going to. And we've said how good Ja'Cory's looked as a true freshman already. And then Jake Garcia is supposed to be the next guy up. And Jake could be a 1 or 2 year starter at Miami, depending how good he is. So you're looking at a 3 to 5 year wait if you're not an amazing quarterback right out the gate. And there's some quarterbacks who don't care. They're that good. And that's the guys Miami wants to get. The guys that don't care about competition. They think, hey, I'm better than all these guys anyway. I'll come in. I don't care. That's who they want. But there are some guys out there who are like, hey, I don't want to deal with that. And maybe it's for the best to not have those guys on your roster anyway. And I'm not saying that's who Emory Williams is. I mean, Emory's going to get a lot more offers. But as they move through the process here, it's an issue because there are going to be some other quarterbacks who do look at depth charts maybe more than they should.
All right, and the last thing I wanted to touch on today, Matt, the baseball team dropped the series to Florida State this weekend, and we're seeing the wheels coming off a little bit the last month, in my opinion. I mean, well, that's what I want to ask you. Should Miami baseball fans be concerned with the postseason fast approaching, or is this just your basic, typical regular season of baseball? You win some, and you're going to lose some games.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I grew up, playing baseball and following baseball very closely, although not college as much as the pros. But things are, in baseball especially, things are never as good as they seem. They're never as bad as they seem. You can have one really good pitcher where you're going to win most of your Friday nights, and the team may not be that good, and it's a mirage. I don't think this team's a mirage. I don't really believe in my heart of hearts. If you push me, I don't, if I had to say my heart of hearts, I don't think it's a top 10 team, just how the team actually is. But I think it's a top 20 team. They're going to host a regional. They have a chance to host a super regional, depending what happens in the final series against Notre Dame, and then I guess at the ACC tournament. If they can host a super regional. But I don't think they're any worse than now than they were, before, or any better than they were before. Like, they sort of are what they are. They're a young team with some really good hitters. A little bit of spotty starting pitching and a great closer. I was watching some of the series at FSU on TV, and I mean, that guy, that closer is impressive, man. Like, I haven't seen a closer that throws like that in a while. I mean, he's really good. So, they lost series at Virginia Tech. They tend to win their series at home is sort of what's been happening, and they sort of struggle.
That's normal, though.
Yeah, that's the normal thing. Like, yeah, so it's okay. You lose 2 out of 3 against Florida State. Florida State's a really good team. That's okay. Like, that doesn't bother me. What you want to be doing, they always say, play your best ball at the end of the season. And yeah, it's coming to the end of the season, but honestly, the series against Notre Dame, fine. And then, to me, your best ball, start playing really well in the ACC tournament. No errors, clean ball. Good at bats. Like, they had some bad at bats in the games. I was watching the last couple of games, and you go from there. But they have some really good players, and there's nothing wrong with being a top 20 team. And then maybe you get hot at the end and you wind up winning the whole thing. I mean, that happens. So never say never.
All right, so we won't be concerned.
I'm not overly concerned. Listen, being ranked number 3, I thought was a little high anyway. I mean, but
we're gonna trust you on this one. So we won't panic at the losses that Miami baseball has been taking lately. All right, so that's going to do it for today.
By the way, they had won 6 in a row before the last 2, by the way, but they had lost 4 in a row before that. So it's just again, like
very
I said,
uneven
baseball.
The last month.
It goes in ebbs and flows.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you, as always, for joining us this morning and making us part of your day. We'll be back again tomorrow. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Have a great day, everybody.